All right, we're doing step work. I'm Pat. This is Billy, my sponsor, and we're reading the. We want to read kind of loud because the mic is over there. Mm-hmm. We're reading the Tebow Papers. The act of surrender in the therapeutic process, and Harry Tebow was a doctor who was studying alcoholism, 40 years ago?
Near the beginning of AA.
And he wrote papers on
he wrote a whole book, and this is a short and condensed version of the topics, the ones that we in AA really want to hit home, even before we start the steps, in my opinion.
So it's sort of a look at like the psyche of an alcoholic, why we think the way we think, how we're different from normal people, and things to be aware of during our journey of trying to stay sober or get sober or just be sober.
Yeah, so it aids us in the recovery process because we got to know who we are to recover and to change. So this is telling us who we are, whether we like it or not.
So the importance of a positive attitude is the first section, which, and they talk about convergence and going from a negative mind frame to a positive mind frame and how that relates to, making a surrender. Like you need to make a surrender and not be so negative. We're automatically drawn to the negative as alcoholics.
Yes.
So
it's pretty complicated, and we're
I don't know though.
Starting here, okay,
I don't know if it's really that complicated. I feel like we have a good understanding of it. So but they are papers, and we have read. We're not that far into them. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking that before we read this next chapter, we could talk a little bit about we should do sort of an overview, right? Mm-hmm. So the first section is the importance of a positive attitude. The second section is the act of surrender.
Well, there's two parts. It's the positive attitude and what? For it talks about the conversion process. He calls this transformation from fucked up thinking that keeps you drinking to a different type of thinking that keeps you sober and on the road to recovery, and he calls it the conversion process.
Which I'm relating to, when I wake up, I don't want to fucking work out.
Conversion experience.
But if I can make that conversion and go, oh wow, I'm gonna feel better after I do, and actually I get to work out. I'm healthy. I have limbs. It's a perception shift. Mm-hmm. You're changing, which alcoholics need to do on a daily basis. Whether we use God to do that or surrender to do that, it needs to be done.
Alcoholism is a mind-powered disease, so yes. It centers in our thinking and our mind.
So we read those two parts. Importance of positive attitude, the act of surrender, and then there's a story about a man who goes to a rehab and is resisting, and then he gets sober. And then there's what happened, which is another part, which is how he got sober. And then they go into breaking down the act of surrender, which they ask 3 questions. What qualities were there in his nature that he so long resisted help? So basically they're using these 3 questions as they're asking, so the story.
What's up, guys?
What up, dog? We're doing your podcast right now. Gus?
You what?
We're doing the podcast idea
Did I talk to
that you had.
Wow.
Billy's dad. So we're reading the Tebow Papers. And we're filming it, and we're talking about.
Are you on something right now?
And you are too.
Where is it at?
It's right there.
Where's the camera? What up?
We just decided to do a little.
Yeah, we're just doing a little bit, but
What's up, Billy?
But
coming up with fresh relapse.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to probably pause this because it's loud and the dogs are here. But the 3 questions are. That's why they had this story. I'm realizing now is this story
Where's Dinah?
is only a way. He'll be here soon. Is only a way to ask the questions. How did this guy? Why was he resisting? What circumstances brought about the final surrender? And why does the positive phase follow the surrender in this example? And then they go on to explain defiance and grandiosity, which are
So
two
would it
traits
be
that.
cool if you really were watching this, if you had your own Tebow papers to read along and look at as reference?
Yeah, but no one's gonna do that. So really, just listening to this will help you understand
All right.
how what we're doing to stay sober, and also what staying sober looks like, and what being an alcoholic looks like, and what our brains look like. It's basically like a meeting. We're defiant and grandiose.
Sort of like a mini meeting, but we're getting into the literature about it. So yeah.
So stay tuned next week for the next. We'll actually read defiance and grandiosity, and hopefully we won't be interrupted
And maybe we'll
by
be
a
a
bunch
little
of
more
fucking
organized.
dogs.
And hopefully we're not breaking some
You said
terrible
around 30?
tradition.
No, I'm just